It's time for a cup of coffee with Will and Chris at Slumberland Furniture. From Slumberland Furniture in Osage Beach, here are your hosts, William Holtz and Chris Schneider.
Back at Slumberland at the lake for your weekly cup of coffee. I'm Wild Will.
I'm Uncle Chris.
And the weather is beautiful. The fall colors are here. And we got a great cup of coffee for you this week. Did you see a mudslide at the lake?
I did see that. That was kind of scary, really.
We have that football. Hey, I think the Kansas City Chiefs are back.
It sure looked like it last week. They look good.
That's a big high school games coming this Friday night, plus a lot happening on Lake TV. We'll tell you about that and some additional local headlines after this on this week's Cup of Coffee.
Hey everybody, it's Daryl Cunningham with Slumberland Furniture at the Lake. We're in the middle of a fall home sale, so that means great deals for every room of the house. Not only do you get great deals, but we're also offering 36 months interest-free financing on everything. Don't forget, we deliver the entire lake area. So come check us out, Slumberland Furniture, where we're bringing happy home.
The lake has it all. Even this time of year, some incredible events.
The scenic outdoors, there's so much to see.
But listen, there have been an average of 6 fatal crashes in Missouri per month from distracted driving this year.
That's where you come in. Always remember to buckle up and put your phones down. Your eyes belong on the road. This reminder to drive safe, boat safe, brought to you by Price & Randall Injury Attorneys.
Yeah, remember, drive safe, boat safe all season long. And if you're like me, there's so many lake roads down here at the lake. Sometimes when the fall foliage and the colors get like this, we like to just drive down lake roads we've never been to.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Us too. That's gorgeous. There's usually so much down a lake road you didn't know was there. Communities, houses, all that stuff. It's amazing. It's one of the really cool things about this area.
Yeah, but be careful. Easy to get lost if you don't have good signal and your GPS fired up. So, all right, first local headline. We told you last week, an awful headline as there was a shooting in Versailles. We knew there was a person in critical condition and there was a suspect, but a whole week later, 56-year-old Robert Anselmo of Eldon is charged with first-degree murder and armed criminal action in last Monday's shooting death of Janetta Yeager in the parking lot of the Soil and Water Conservation Office in Versailles.
Yeah, according to this document, a court document named the victim as Janetta Yeager and the alleged murderer as Robert Anselmo, as you said. According to this document, Anselmo and Yeager had previously been romantically involved. Yeager had sought a court order of protection against him, so apparently there was a split up there. A hearing had been scheduled for September 29th, right? So the murder happened just a week or two before that court hearing was scheduled. Authorities say Yeager was sitting in her vehicle with the door open in the Morgan County USDA Service Center office parking lot when Anselmo, wearing a pink-orange hoodie, blue jeans boots, gloves, and a mask, allegedly approached the driver's side of the vehicle and shot Yeager in the head. The court document lists a whole lot of evidence in the case, multiple security camera angles showing the suspect, an eyewitness who observed a person walking by the front of the building wearing that hoodie, location data on a phone that police believe to be Anselmo's. Anselmo's employer said that he didn't arrive at work that Monday, so there's a whole lot of evidence, it would seem, against him.
Yeah, and he was booked into Morgan County Jail Monday night, approximately 8 p.m. last week, which was 2 hours after Morgan County prosecuting attorney Dustin Dunkley had announced through an online press release that the suspect had been taken into custody in Miller County. At his arraignment Wednesday a.m., he entered a plea of not guilty and advised the court that he needed a public defender as he could post a $5,000 bond. However, following the victim input and the court citing a concern for public safety, the bond reduction was denied pending a 7-day bond hearing, which was set to take place Tuesday, September 30, which is our day of recording. So at the time, we had no additional updates, but heartbreaking. Our thoughts and prayers with the family of Janetta Yeager, who had daughters and was very well known in the Versailles community, so just horrifying.
Yeah.
And what's sad is, it listed that there was an ex parte order of protection had been filed, But from what my understanding and talking with people is those are nearly useless. Like,
Really?
I mean, you have those in place, and if you call to report a protection of order or ex parte being broken, I almost treat it like a speeding ticket, that it's like, with the order of protection or ex parte in place, that didn't do anything, right? It didn't end up being enough. And so heartbreaking. And I did understand that there was some crime victims awareness and some other things here locally in response to this tragic occurrence.
Yeah, and we're pretty close with Cherie Keeley, CADV, Citizens Against Domestic Violence, and when anytime something like this happens, we go to Cherie because it is a domestic violence kind of a thing. And she said, in fact, when the victim begins to stand up to their abuser, the danger often increases. She said because, human behavior is unpredictable, victims who resist control may experience escalating threats or violence when the abuser seeks to regain dominance, which, it all makes sense when you think about it, but we tend to try not to think about it, domestic violence, and this would fall under that category. CADV, they do such an amazing job trying to help people. Over the past year, CADV has served 725 victims across its 4-county area. So unfortunately, there's a lot of work in that area these days. So.
Yeah, and Cherie Keeley encourages anybody considering leaving an abusive relationship to reach out to the Citizens Against Domestic Violence for help. Incredible organization, and as we round up just a horrifying story, we certainly want to see justice done in this case.
Yeah, and the victim left behind 2 daughters, Sydney and Kinsey, so our thoughts go out to them.
Yeah, horrifying. All right, other local news, mudslide at the Lake of the Ozarks. Not something we've seen often, but anytime you see it happen anywhere, right, that is news. You see viral videos, and I saw, man, we had a mudslide right here at Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah, so the big heavy rains we had a couple weeks ago, it's been a really dry summer, and then all of a sudden you get these big heavy rains. I don't remember how much we got. We got about an inch or something where we were. So storms and heavy rain moved through the lake area a week ago Tuesday, I think. Mudslide nearly sent parked vehicles plunging into the water around 2:30 in the afternoon this Tuesday. Sources told Lake Expo about a concrete wall collapsing at Ozark Oaks Apartments on Links Road. And as the video shows, the wall, a portion of the parking lot had broken off into the lake. Cars that had been parked there on the edge of the precipice to fall in the lake there. Emergency vehicles, a tow truck responded to the scene. All the cars were safely moved and the area was cleared, taped off about an hour later. This is what cracks me up about it, if there's anything funny. Osage Beach Police Chief Todd Davis said that according to the city's building official, the responsibility for the shoreline belongs to Ameren, right? Oh, but Ameren says, oh, wait a minute, that's not us, that's the owner, right? So they're fighting over who's gonna pay for fixing this, cleaning it up, all that stuff. Not immediately clear to what extent the collapse will impact those apartments.
Yeah, and these are located around the 19-mile marker.
Yeah.
And as you alluded to, and Police Chief Todd Davis said that, Ameren responded and said, no, the cleanup and rebuilding of the wall falls on the property owner. Our role is to ensure compliance of shoreline management when repairs take place. So essentially they said, no, it's our job to make sure you guys rebuild this properly.
Yeah.
So interesting, and that is an ongoing topic that we don't touch on a lot, is who is actually responsible for problems with the water quality or things in the water or things on the shoreline. And there has been a great divide in regards to property owners and private citizens who claim that Ameren should be doing things with the shoreline or things in the water, and Ameren coming back and saying, no, that's not our role. Yes, it's our lake, we own the lake, we set the rules, we do what and where we want, but no, you pay for it, it's your job, we'll just make sure you do it right. And so we see that going back and forth, and that's not a new battle, but it is a battle that increases in frequency. As often as we're seeing that and hearing about that, it was just, about 2 months ago, there was a cove here at Lake of the Ozarks where there was a massive amount of styrofoam buildup floating.
Okay.
And the residents were very upset with Ameren for not dealing with it, and they threatened legal action, and Ameren came back and said it's not our responsibility. And so this is not the first time. It's just the first time we've seen an elected official, or I guess Police Chief Todd Davis, say that's Ameren, and Ameren comes back and says, nope, that's not. We just make sure you're compliant when you rebuild or have problems. And so be interesting to see, but that does spark an interesting topic that I want to look into more, is there really is not a clear set of guidelines when it comes to Ameren's shoreline cleanup and management. And so I think that if there is, it'd be great to get a little more education and a little more awareness, especially as we head into summer 2026. Should be a big summer, right?
Oh, yeah. It seems like nowadays every summer is bigger than the summer before. Just events get bigger, more people come in, there's more growth. I mean, we've got the new outlet mall, that's coming in. That's going to make a huge difference. You got the new Oasis theme park and so much more on top of that. Things are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And by the way, Osage Beach Mayor Michael Harmison is going to be a guest on our Community Spotlight show in a few weeks to kind of update us on all of that, what's happening with the mall and what that's going to look like, and the Oasis theme park and what's going on with that and everything else in Osage Beach. They've done a pretty amazing job growing the last few years in Osage Beach.
Yeah, a lot going on, and great segue. You brought up the Oasis Amusement Park, and just curious about any updates. If you remember, it was May 2025. We got updates. We talked with developer Jeff Tegedoff, the city of Osage Beach, and it looked like that the issuance of bond payments were set to move forward, and that paved the way for continued progress on the site. Well, May of 2025, they listed that the Entertainment District project, Oasis at Lakeport, Hotel and Conference Center, Indoor Water Park, Parking Garage, had initially, I found this interesting looking back at an article from May of 25, that they initially had an amphitheater as part of their plans.
Interesting, okay.
And that cost had initially been projected for the overall development for $350 million, had increased to $450 million. So, I mean, that is roughly a 30% increase, which is drastic. And so in May, that was what their findings were. And so instead of the amphitheater, they announced they were going to have a 4,700 square foot Napoli Brothers, which is a St. Louis-based Italian restaurant, open on the grounds. And so it looked like they were making plans with partners. And so of course, Skyview Partners on the amusement park side said that their amusement park and 1,000 square foot parking garage will open the summer months next year, which is 2026, while the hotel, water park, and the rest of it would be first quarter of 2027. You'll remember back in 2021, this whole property was acquired by Big Thunder Marine.
Yeah.
And in 24, they really broke ground, right, and started to make progress. So I was pretty sure that when that news broke in May, that like, hey, we're going to start seeing stuff.
Yep.
But I get asked all the time anymore. Actually, if I had $1 for every time somebody came up to me, messaged me, emailed me, and said, hey, what's going on with the Oasis Amusement Park, I would probably be retired at this rate.
Yeah.
People want to know, and so I thought it would be a great time to reach out and figure out, like, man, this 4 months, June, July, August, September, with all the time that was lost with weather and financial delays and things of that nature, that these would be prime months to be making progress should things be okay and finances be in order, right?
You'd
and
think.
so those 4 months, we've seen little to nothing. So I reached out to developer Jeff Tegedoff, and I have a phone call scheduled with him today for 1 o'clock. So wish I could tell you more, but I'll be eager to talk with you guys on next week's Cup of Coffee.
Yeah.
And of course, with you having Mayor Michael Harmison on the Community Spotlight, I will look forward to seeing what they say, because we are seeing the delays. Not that these are super uncommon, but for people at Lake of the Ozarks, they've not really seen a development of this magnitude.
Yeah.
And so in these delays, people may not have as much patience as some would like, but I did want to find out and get an update, because it doesn't look like there's been hardly anything done,
No.
the last 3 or 4 months. And so something has to be going on, or slowing progress, I would say.
Yeah, you would think, and you still hope that they're still on track to, start getting things open in 2026 like the last reports were, but we don't see anything happening over there. We took the boat over there a week or two ago with some family and just drove in the cove and looked around. There was nothing going on. There was no building.
You love this time of year.
I do. I love this time
because you
of
can
year.
get out on the water and not have quite the bustle and activity.
Yeah.
And if there's One thing that gets any of us nervous, it might be a little too much bustle and activity on the water.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Well, I mean, we don't even, during the summertime, we don't even take the boat out on the weekends because it's just too crazy out there now. I mean, it's great now because there's very few boats, water's pretty calm, and the temperatures are a little lower and all that stuff. I love it.
Have you guys ever been over to Flower Pot Cove?
Never have, no.
That's something
all I've seen it is on your, the doc series.
Yeah, that's something
Beautiful.
that you guys got to put on your list.
Yeah, we do.
You know?
Yeah.
All right, so did you see that Camden County, the commission, announced a resolution honoring the life of Charlie Kirk?
I did see that. So it was a packed house, and this was last Thursday for the Camden County Commission meeting, and they were discussing the idea of putting up a memorial for Charlie Kirk, right? The guy that was assassinated, the Christian political guy. Despite a fierce-spirited debate, we're told, the commission ultimately did decide to approve the project, which will be located on the Camden County Administration Building. Citizens were mixed on the idea, some saying it's a perfect way to recognize Kirk, which I think is a great idea, and what he meant to the country. Others believe there should be someone with local ties. Instead, some people suggested Rush Limbaugh, Martin Luther King Jr., someone related to the creation of the lake area maybe, and you can kind of see all those ideas. But in the end, the Charlie Kirk mural will be put together using private funds. This will not be government funds used, none of your tax money, so that's pretty good. I think that's kind of neat. I don't know that any of us realized how huge Charlie Kirk was until he was gone.
Yeah.
I mean, the response in the wake of his death has been it's like nothing I have ever seen before.
Yeah, and outside of just the memorial, the commission also announced resolution number 092325, and the commission wrote that honors the life of Charlie Kirk, express sorrow at his death, and affirm its condemnation of violence and political expression. Also recognizes the importance of upholding free speech and the right to individuals to express their beliefs, even when those beliefs are controversial. Number 3 calls for civil dialogue and robust debate among all community members, regardless of political ideological affiliation. And 4, a copy of this resolution will be transmitted to the family of Charlie Kirk as an expression of sympathy, and to relay community organizations as a call to solidarity against political violence. It was signed on the 23rd day of September by Presiding Commissioner Ike Skelton, Commissioner James Gohagan, and Commissioner Steve Dugan. All signed the resolution, but just in our small community right down here in Camden County, you could see what Charlie Kirk meant and the ripple effect of what's going on now since he's gone. And I'm sure there were feelings both ways, and ultimately they decided to move forward with the mural. Do they say, as far as, I guess, no timeline or anything when they'll start that, which we can reach out and find out, which will be interesting, and probably going to put it right there, I would say, probably somewhere on the courthouse grounds.
I would guess so, yeah. That's pretty neat. Charlie was singular in his gift of being able to debate in a kind way. I mean, his whole thing was, prove me wrong. Just come talk to me. Let's have a conversation. And he said just before he was assassinated, he said, civil war comes when you stop talking, when you can't talk about these things, and then obviously, he was silenced, which was shocking, but hopefully it'll, it seems like his organization has just grown since his death.
Sure. All right, something that will affect all Missourians by next year. There's a new temp tag law, which the Department of Motor Vehicles and Missouri Department of Revenue say will streamline the process to buying a new vehicle, which is what all of us Missouri car owners and drivers want, right? To have the Missouri Department of Revenue and the DMV tell us how we can streamline our car buying experience.
Yeah, so under this new state law, drivers will no longer leave the dealership with a temporary tag. No more, apparently. Instead, you'll be issued a temporary plate with the permanent information until the metal plate arrives. Change also comes with a financial shift. Here's the catch right here. Buyers will have to pay the sales tax at the time of the purchase. It can be rolled into the loans.
What they're recommending, it can be rolled into your loan.
Yeah.
Fiscal irresponsibility 101.
Yep. Absolutely, 100%. So the way it kind of works now is you can buy the car and then you have 30 days to go to the license office and pay the sales tax, which is usually hefty. I mean, it's getting, depending on, how expensive
It's like right at 4%, I believe, in Missouri, like right under 4%. So for every $1,000, you're looking at $38.
Right, yeah.
So if you have a $30,000 car, that's $1,200.
It adds up, right?
If you have a $50,000 car, that's even more.
So what Missouri is saying is people are buying the car, but then they're not going to pay the sales tax, right? So the state is losing out on this money. So now apparently what they're doing is you won't be able to leave the car dealership without paying the sales tax. And like you said, rolling it into the loan is not a good idea because you're just getting yourself further in debt. I mean, it's kind of crazy. So we'll see. They say the change should bring back funding to Missouri roads and ensure people are driving legally. That's probably true, but it's going to make buying a car a lot more expensive at the moment of buying the car.
Sure. And I mean, I do understand it because it's not like the sales tax percentage is going up.
Right.
It just means before you buy your car, it's going to force you to make sure you're in a position to also handle the sales tax, the registration, and your insurance, should you not already have those things. And so I think it was interesting the way they said, that this is big because we're losing millions of dollars in lost revenue, and not just on highways, but local communities. They say a lot of that money goes towards road projects. But I did not like the way they said that they'll allow you to roll it into your loan.
Yeah.
I mean, that is compounding interest. So if it's $1,200 in sales tax over a 5 or 6 year note, like you're going to end up paying like $3,500 to $5,000 for that 12. And that means over the course of those payments, that's like an extra $100 a month.
That's how they make a lot of money.
Of course,
this is not brand new. I mean, I've bought vehicles in the past by putting the TTL, tax, title, and license fees into the loan. Not smart.
We live and we learn.
Yeah,
right?
you do. You live and you learn. You go, wow, I spent a lot of money doing that. And you try to do it differently later. So it's not new doing that. But what's new is them saying, okay, you're not going to be able to leave the dealership without paying this. So
I see both sides because a lot of people, after they get those temp tags, simply can't afford to keep driving, which may not be good. And this way, it might prevent somebody from going and buying a car they may not be able to afford, or if they do, they're going to pay the price over the course of those 5 or 6 year note.
True.
All right, so hey, your weekly football wrap up. Man, we love this time of year, and we're entering week 5 of the high school football season, week 4 of the NFL season. College football is rocking and rolling. So first, Eldon loses their second in a row. Hallsville still 3-2. They're going to be at home against Southern Boone, who's only 1-4. Look for Eldon to bounce back Friday night. But how about Camdenton Friday night?
Camdenton looked good. Their best game of the year, first win of the year. They beat up on Battle. You guys carried that game. You and Mike Bissell called the game on Lake TV. Great to see Coach Parpitz and the Lakers get that win. And they beat up on them. I beat them by like 30 points.
And listen, I got to give some love to Michael Machino,
Yeah.
their junior quarterback, right? He had no passing touchdowns coming into the night. He led the team with 4 rushing touchdowns, but this was maybe the best 14 minutes of football I've ever seen individually in 13 seasons doing high school football. So he started the scoring with a 108-yard pick six, which is not yet confirmed or adjudicated, but that's a Missouri State record. The record was 107 yards.
Yeah.
And so later, he had another interception. Right after that pick, had a touchdown pass to Dayson Stanfield. So then later to another touchdown pass. Then he had a touchdown run to start the second quarter. So with 10 and a half minutes to go in the second quarter, 2 interceptions, including a 108-yard pick six, 2 touchdown passes, and a rushing touchdown. And he'd add a third later in the game. He didn't play a whole lot, but big time start in Camdenton. Yeah, they win 53-24, and they'll be back at the Jaws of Death Friday to host a 2-3 Rockbridge team.
That Rockbridge team is pretty good, though. Those 3 losses are against really good teams. It's going to be a tough one.
Helias.
Yeah, they lost to Helias last week, like 16-6, and Helias is one of the best teams in the state, and they held them to 16-6. So yeah.
Correct. And then Osage, 4-1. They took care of California, shut them out winners, 48-0,
Yeah.
4-1. They got Hallsville, but don't look now. Hallsville, winners of 2 in a row, and scored 43 points on Eldon last week, so that should be fun. How about, how'd your Nebraska Cornhuskers do?
They had the bye week, so that's the week they're guaranteed not to lose, which is good. They play Michigan State this week, so that ought to be fun. Again, Nebraska's getting better, but I'm not sure how good they are. We'll keep seeing. I think they should win this week. Mizzou looked pretty good, right? They beat up on UMass pretty good.
Yeah, and they got the best running back in the country.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's good.
Hardy's been unbelievable, and he's got a pretty hefty lead on the rushing yard lead, over 100 yards right now for the second best. And those are all those small school running backs, not SEC running backs, right?
Yeah.
So pretty impressive. Missouri, idle this week. They got a huge game next weekend in about a week. That next Saturday, Alabama comes to town. And
that'll be
Bama
good.
just beat Georgia.
That was a great game.
And they got, it's no gimme this week.
Yeah.
They got 5-0 Vandy coming in.
That Vandy team's for real.
For real. That quarterback, Pavola or whatever his name is, that kid is real.
Yeah. When Mizzou beat Vandy last year, I mean, we just beat them by the skin of our teeth, and everybody's like, well, we must not be very good.
No,
they were good last year, and they're even better this year. They're for real.
Who's that quarterback, Pavola?
I don't know what his name is,
but he's
good.
He had 5 tutties over the weekend. So, hey, don't forget our best seat in the house promotion right here at Slumberland.
Come play with us.
Even if you haven't gotten in through the first 4 weeks of the NFL season, you're still eligible for a weekly prize of $25 and to Tucker Shuckers. Here's what's cool. We've had a tie the last 2 weeks. So you can enter for this weekend, and if you have the best pick'em record this weekend, you can win $75 to Tucker Shuckers.
Wow, that'd be great.
Carries
Am I eligible
over.
to win that?
You are.
All right.
Yes, you are. Fantasy nerds, you got to go in, got to find our Lake TV League. You can find those links on our social, on our website, and then your promo code is Slumberland. You don't have to put point spreads. You just pick your winner each week. And Ben, Vincent Martinez, Big Rudy, Spencer Wall, and Andrew Evans all tied for first place again this week. So it carries over. Triple prize for week 5. And overall, Alma Anderson in the lead at 48 points. Spencer and David at 47. And you and Nick Reese tied at third at 46. So good luck down the stretch. And I got to say, since we're talking football, of course, my Bills snuck by New Orleans. A little scare there, but what I was impressed with this weekend, the Chiefs, baby.
Yeah, that was the first time this year we've seen the real Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know what happened to them, but starting in the Super Bowl last year, they didn't show up. In the first couple of games this year, they didn't really show up, but they showed up in that second quarter last Sunday in the big win over Baltimore. I thought the Ravens were going to win that, and the Chiefs just kicked their butt. So hopefully the Chiefs are back. We'll have to see, moving forward, but they looked good last week.
I think a lot of Chiefs Nation was with you and so many others. Talked to my buddy Chris with Chris Lightcoat this morning, and I said, did you go? And he goes, no, I went to the NASCAR event with my dad. And I said, well, did you think they were going to win? And he goes, no, I'll be honest, I didn't. And I said, so you had to be pleasantly surprised, and you can't blame them because of how Kansas City has played.
Yeah.
But here's what I thought was cool, because everybody, even some Chiefs fans, and I know they're supportive, but people have been hard on Mahomes, right? Well, how about this for a bounce-back game? 270 yards, 4 touchdown passes to 4 different receivers, but here's what's even more impressive. It wasn't Worthy, it wasn't Kelsey, and it wasn't Noah Gray. If you'd have told me that headed into Sunday's game, I'd have told you you're dreaming.
Yep.
But they're 2-2, and they got a huge game at Jacksonville. Surprise team, 3-1. The Jags look pretty strong.
Yeah, and then Detroit after that.
So are the Chiefs
Lions
back?
are really good. I'm not ready to take that stand yet, but if they keep like they played last week, they're back.
All right, hey, don't miss Don Campbell on this week's Community Spotlight Show, the second time we've had him. Plus, this Saturday, a brand new monthly market update with Jessica Bruce. And we told you this Friday, we got a Hallsville at Osage for our game of the week.
Homecoming.
And we'll have the entire homecoming coronation ceremony live as part of our Hedges Scott Millard Funeral Homes halftime show. Don't miss it. Really cool ceremony. And before we go this week, wanted to bring you our favorite scripture of the week with reflection. Philippians 1:6, and this was Paul writing, which I didn't realize he was writing from prison at the time, right? To the Christians. in Philippi, and Timothy's listed as a co-author.
Yeah.
On the the letters, which I thought was cool. But being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to the completion until this day of Jesus Christ. And that can be great encouragement for us as believers, wherever you're at, that you remember when he started that in you, he guarantees you he'll finish it. And the theme for me was Paul's declaration of God's power to complete his work that he begins, even when he was in prison, not with despair, but with joy and great confidence. And that would be my hope, not only for me, but all of you as we wrap up this week's Cup of Coffee from Slumberland at the Lake. Thanks for watching, my friends. Until next week.